Be me. Late 20s, living in the city, the kind of woman who doesn't let men get away with anything. It didn't matter what the subject was, politics, sports, whether oat milk is better than cow's milk, I would argue, and I would argue until the man across from me caved. And I'll be honest, I didn't argue to learn or to debate ideas. I argued to win. I argued to prove men wrong. That was the game for me. It might be because women finally get a spot in the world now, but nothing feels sweeter than putting men in their place. Because for all their big talk, all their smug certainty, I could always find the hole in their logic, the slip in their tone, the inconsistency they thought no one noticed. Watching their faces twist when I caught them, it was addictive. At work, I made a name for myself doing exactly that. If a guy pitched something in a meeting, I was the first to raise my hand and poke holes in it. Didn't matter if the idea was good, I'd find the flaw. A male manager once joked I was like HR with a law degree, always ready to strike down whatever the guys suggested. But the thing is, they respected it. They sparred with me. They came back twice as hard, and I'd knock them down again. That back and forth gave me energy. With my boyfriend, it was practically our love language. We'd fight about everything. He'd say something about how I never fold the laundry right, and I'd explode about how he never loads the dishwasher properly. He'd accuse me of being dramatic, I'd accuse him of being lazy. Round and round we went until we were both red in the face. And then later, we'd collapse into each other. The fights were messy, exhausting, but they made me feel close to him. Fighting meant we cared enough to fight. Even with my family, I carried the same energy. My uncle, old conservative, thought he had the world figured out. Thanksgiving dinners were war zones. He'd go on about kids these days, and I'd bite down until my jaw hurt, ready to unload a 10-minute tirade that left him red and speechless. My cousins rolled their eyes, but I could tell they were impressed that I stood my ground. Really though, I just loved watching him lose. And online? God, I lived for it. I used to camp out on forums just waiting for some guy to make a smug post so I could dismantle it line by line. Men would flood my comments with insults, half-baked counter-arguments, walls of text, and I would demolish them one by one. I wasn't there to change minds. I was there to show men that they weren't as smart or untouchable as they thought they were. That was my world. Arguing, winning, proving men wrong, over and over again. But lately, something's changed. I've started noticing it everywhere. At work, the same guys who used to fight me tooth and nail now just nod. I'll poke a hole in their pitch, and instead of firing back, they scribble something in their notebook and say, "Good point, let's move on." No heat, no challenge, just dismissal. Sometimes, when they think I'm not listening, I'll catch little whispers. "Man, you heard what happened to Mark? He made one joke in a meeting, some girl filmed it, posted online, HR dragged him in the next day, lost his promotion. Nah, bro, don't argue, just let it go." It stings, because I realize their silence isn't respect, it's self-preservation. At home, my boyfriend has gone quiet too. I'll throw out one of our usual sparks, like accusing him of never cleaning the bathroom properly, and instead of snapping back, he just shrugs and says, "You're right, babe," and then goes back to whatever he's doing, like the argument wasn't even worth his time. It feels wrong, too easy, like I'm shadowboxing, throwing punches at empty air. Even my uncle, the man who used to spend whole evenings trying to outwit me. Last Thanksgiving, he chuckled, shook his head, and said, "You've always got something to say, huh?" Arguing with women's like wrestling with a cop. You don't win, you just get arrested. Then he turned back to his beer. No battle, no sting, just brushing me off. And later that night, I overheard my cousins in the kitchen. "Dude, remember Dave from church? Got recorded saying some anti-woke stuff, feminists lit him up on TikTok, and boom, he's fired." Yeah, better not argue with women at all. Safer that way. I used to think men loved sparring with me, because it meant they saw me as an equal. But now, when they don't even bother, it feels like I've been cut out of the game entirely. And here's the part I hate admitting. I told myself this is a win, that I've broken them down, that they're too fragile to keep up with me. But deep down, without the fight, it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like being ignored. So one night, out of sheer frustration, I texted Maya and Jess. "Drinks? Need to rant. Going insane." Within seconds, they both replied, yes. My place, so the three of us end up at Maya's apartment. She's the calm one in our trio, laid back, yoga-obsessed, the type of woman who glides through life like nothing sticks. Jess is the opposite, sharp, sarcastic, glass of wine always in hand, laughing too loudly at her own jokes. We've got cartons of pad thai and dumplings spread across the coffee table, and I'm already half a glass in when I let it spill. Something's wrong with men lately, I tell them, stabbing at a dumpling with my chopsticks. They don't argue anymore. Not at work, not at home, not even at family dinners. It's like they all just rolled over and gave up. Maya takes a long sip of wine, legs folded neatly under her. Honestly, I think it's kind of nice. When my boyfriend stopped fighting with me, our relationship got so much calmer. We don't waste energy on stupid arguments anymore. That pisses me off instantly. Calm? Since when is calm the goal? Fighting means passion. Fighting means both people give a damn. Jess smirks, leaning back into the couch. Or maybe they're just scared of you. You can be a lot, you know? I snap back before I can stop myself. Scared? Please. Men aren't scared of me. They're just weak. They don't have the stamina to keep up anymore. But her words dig, because the truth is, I'd already been hearing things. At work, in passing conversations between men, little whispers. Don't push too hard, man. You'll get HR on your back. Or, did you hear about that guy who got accused? Whole career tanked, I bring it up, testing the waters. You know, I've heard men say they're keeping quiet because they don't want to get accused of something. Like they'd rather avoid women entirely than risk getting called out. Maya laughs, waving it off. Oh, please. Nobody gets accused for nothing. If a guy gets called out, it's because he did something shady. Jess raises an eyebrow, more skeptical. I don't know. I mean, I've seen guys get dragged online for things that were kinda harmless. Maybe not career-ending, but still. Reputation's fragile these days. Maya rolls her eyes. If they can't handle consequences, maybe they shouldn't act like idiots in the first place. I stay quiet, chewing on my lip, because I don't want to admit it, but the whispers I've overheard weren't just about idiots. They were about normal guys. Smart ones, careful ones. And the fact that they were still choosing silence, it made me feel like I'd become radioactive. I force a laugh, brushing it all off. Whatever. They're not scared of me. They're just pathetic. Men used to thrive on this stuff. Now they can't even get through one round without tapping out. Jess topped off her glass and said, almost casually, well, you'll get your chance soon. Ethan and I are hosting that dinner party next week. Half the guys from his work are coming. If this whole men don't argue anymore thing is real, you'll see it there. Maya chimed in, grinning. Yeah, perfect test. If they shut you down again, then maybe it's not just in your head, and if they bite, even better, you can finally get the fight you're craving. The idea stuck with me all week. By the time the night rolled around, I'd made up my mind. This was going to be my proving ground. Fast forward a week, Jess and Ethan's condo. 8, maybe 10 people crammed inside, with too much wine and too much food, the kind of crowd where you only half know most of the faces. On the way over, I'm already hyping myself up. In my head, I've decided, tonight I'm going to win something. I've felt starved for a real argument lately, like a boxer waiting for a fight that never comes. My plan is simple. Find some guy, get him talking, corner him, and prove him wrong. Just for the rush. Just to feel alive again. Jess greets us at the door, already tipsy, buzzing around in her little cocktail dress. Ethan is in the kitchen, topping off glasses of red wine and cracking jokes, the kind of host who makes everything look easy. Ethan has always been opinionated, the type who used to spar with me just for fun. A perfect target. As he poured drinks, I overheard Ethan ribbing one of his friends near the counter. Careful, man, don't let her bait you. Last guy she argued with ended up trending on TikTok. Everyone laughed, but it didn't sound like a real joke, more like a warning wrapped in humor. The night starts warm, buzzing. People laugh too loudly, argue playfully over what appetizers are better, pass around some soju. I wait. I know how these things work. The real debates come after the second round of drinks, when people loosen up and let the sharp edges slip. Sure enough, conversation drifts toward politics. Something about taxes, maybe housing policy, It doesn't even matter. I see the opening and I take it. I lean in, my voice rising just a touch above the others. See? That's exactly the problem. People like you keep defending a broken system. Normally, this is where men perk up, smirk, and get into it with me. Normally, I'd have 3 of them snapping back, trying to cut me off, and I'd slice them apart one by one. But instead, silence. Ethan glances at me, then at the other men at the table. There's this quiet little pause, like they're all communicating without words. And then Ethan smiles politely and says, "Anyway, did you guys watch that new Netflix series? The one with the heist? Netflix. I swear to God, Netflix." The group laughs, relieved, and just like that, the energy shifts away from me. I laugh too, but it comes out too loud, too sharp. Wait, really? No one has anything to say? You guys used to fight me on everything. What happened? Did you all go soft? The men glance at each other again. Some smirk into their glasses. A couple just look down at their plates. The silence drags, and the longer it does, the hotter I feel. So I push harder. My tone gets sharper. I start calling out specifics, teasing them, mocking their past takes. Come on, Ethan. You're seriously telling me you don't have a strong opinion? What happened to Mr. Know-It-All, huh? Afraid I'll embarrass you again? The room goes stiff. I can feel it, people shifting uncomfortably in their chairs, Jess shooting Ethan a look, the women avoiding eye contact. And then I make the mistake. I lean back, smirk, and say, "Or maybe you're just scared of me? Afraid I'll ruin you if you say the wrong thing. Better stay quiet, right?" That's when Ethan puts his glass down, slowly, deliberately. His whole face changes, tight, irritated. He looks right at me, his voice suddenly sharper, cutting through the room. "You want to know why we don't argue with you anymore?" The table goes silent. He continues, "Because it's exhausting. Every single thing turns into a fight. If we slip up, suddenly we're sexist, or controlling, or worse. And yeah, guys get burned. You've seen it. Someone says the wrong word, some girl posts a clip online, and that guy's reputation, his job, gone. So what's the point? We'd rather keep our mouths shut. Easier that way. I feel my chest tighten. My face is hot. I snap back because I can't help myself. That's cowardice. You're just afraid of being wrong. Ethan doesn't even flinch, doesn't raise his voice. He just shakes his head, calm as stone, and says, "No. We're just done. There's a difference." The whole room sits in the quiet after that. Forks scrape plates, wine glasses shift, but no one looks at me. Not even Jess. And that lands in my chest like a punch, because for the first time, it didn't feel like I lost an argument. It felt like the argument never even started. I left Jess and Ethan's place with my face burning. Everyone avoided my eyes on the way out, and Jess barely even hugged me goodbye. Ethan's words were still ringing in my ears. "We're just done." The Uber ride home felt endless. I sat there staring out the window at the city lights, my reflection glaring back at me. I kept replaying it, how the men at that table all shared those silent glances, like they were in on some secret. How Ethan's voice didn't even waver when he said it. No malice, no gloating, just final. And that's what rattled me. It wasn't like I'd lost. Losing I could handle. I'd lost plenty of arguments before and came back swinging. But this was different. There hadn't even been a fight to lose. By the time I got home, I was simmering. My boyfriend was on the couch, scrolling on his phone like nothing mattered. I kicked off my heels a little too hard, dropped my bag loud enough to be heard, waiting for him to look up. He didn't, so I started in. "Something small? You left the bathroom light on again? I've told you 100 times." Normally, that would have been enough to spark a whole back and forth, but tonight, he just glanced up, shrugged, and said, "You're right, babe." Then went back to his phone. It felt like déjà vu, that same dismissal I'd been running into everywhere else. I snapped again, sharper this time. "And you still haven't fixed the shelf like you said you would." "It's been 3 weeks." Another shrug. "I'll get to it." I could feel my chest tightening, like I was throwing punches into fog. No resistance, no friction, just me yelling into a void. Finally, I lost it. "Why don't you fight me anymore?" My voice cracked. "Don't you care? Don't you love me?" He put his phone down slowly, sighed, and looked at me for real this time. "I just came from Jess and Ethan's," I said, my words spilling fast, shaky. "Do you know what Ethan said?" He said men are done, that you don't argue anymore because it's exhausting, because you're scared of being called sexist. Is that it? Is that all this is? He rubbed his face with both hands, sat there in silence for a long moment. Then finally, he said quietly, "Ethan's not wrong. But it's more than that." I froze. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "It's not just the arguing. It's everything. Guys, we'd rather spend time with each other now. With other men, we can joke, debate, be blunt, without wondering if we'll get labeled or dragged for it. It's easy. It's safe." I shook my head, refusing to believe it. "So what? You'd rather be with your buddies than your girlfriend?" He didn't flinch. "Sometimes. Yeah, because with them, I don't feel like I'm on trial all the time. I don't have to measure every word. I don't have to worry that one slip will follow me forever." My stomach dropped. He kept going, his voice steady but heavy, like he'd been holding this in for a long time. "It's not just debates. It's dating, marriage, all of it. Too risky. Too much to lose. I've seen friends wrecked by one accusation. True or not, it sticks. Same with divorce courts, custody battles, HR complaints. The system's stacked against us. So a lot of guys just checked out. They say the smart move now is to stay single, keep your circle small, stick to the gym and the guys. At least that way, nothing can be taken from you." I felt the room tilt, like I was hearing a foreign language. "So that's it? You just give up?" He shook his head slowly. "No. We're protecting ourselves. That's different. And the worst part? He wasn't angry. He wasn't emotional at all. He was calm. Tired, like this was the most obvious thing in the world. I hated it. I wanted him to shout, to slam his fist, to care. Instead, he just sat there with that drained look like the life had already been wrung out of him. So I did what I always do. I pushed harder. "You sound pathetic," I snapped. "What? You're too scared of little old me? Afraid I'll ruin you with one wrong word. That's cowardice. No wonder men are so spineless now." His eyes flickered, but he didn't rise to it. That scared me more than if he had. I kept going, my voice cracking. "You don't even love me, do you? If you did, you'd fight for this. You'd fight me." He rubbed the back of his neck and exhaled. Long, slow, like he'd been rehearsing this moment. "You don't get it," he said finally. "I used to fight because I thought it meant something. That we'd argue, cool off, then make up. But lately, I'm just anxious all the time. One wrong word and you twist it into a threat. Don't make me ruin you. Don't push me. You'll regret it." He looked at me, steady. "You don't know how much that sticks. How heavy it feels when the person you love talks like that." I opened my mouth to argue, to tell him he was exaggerating, but the words died in my throat because I had said those things. Half joking, half not. Little digs I thought would scare him into shape. He leaned back, shaking his head softly. "I don't feel safe here anymore. Not safe to argue, not safe to slip up, not safe to just be myself. And I don't want to live like that." My chest went cold. "So what are you saying?" He stood up, went to the counter, and set his house key down. The sound of metal on stone felt louder than any fight we'd ever had. "I'm saying I can't do this anymore," he said. "I'm moving out. I already found a place. I'll grab the rest of my stuff this weekend." I laughed, sharp and desperate. "You're really leaving because I argued too much?" "No," he said, looking at me one last time. "I'm leaving because arguing with you stopped feeling like love. It just feels like fear now." And then he walked out. The door shut behind him, and for the first time, there was no slam, no shouted word trailing after. Just silence. And I realized I'd finally won the argument, but there was no one left to lose to.